And welcome back to Real Talk Sports with Rico. Today we are talking about the men's Elite Eight and my reactions to that. Make sure that you press like and subscribe so you can stay up to date with the latest happenings with the show. And so, yeah, let's jump into it, guys. So we had Tennessee at Purdue. I think that was one of the bigger games here yesterday. And I think you got a chance to see some of the bigger talent on display in the NCAA tournament. And some of these guys I definitely think will be playing at the next level. Starting with Zach Edey, I think that you get a chance to see just how dominant that Zach Edey is and why he is actually one of the most talented players to ever play college basketball at this point in time. I mean, he had 40 points. He had 16 rebounds here. And I give Purdue a lot of credit because they were able to go out there in this year's tournament and take care of business. They had a disappointing loss last year, being the number 1 seed. I think they got bounced by a 16 seed last year. So good to see Purdue take that next step there. And I think that Coach Painter is a terrific coach there for Purdue. On the flip side of this thing, Tennessee, man, I mean, Rick Barnes, obviously, if you follow college basketball, here's a guy that he actually coached up Kevin Durant in college when he was at Texas there. So this guy definitely knows how to coach up some good teams. And I think that he had one of his better players come through there in quite some time in college basketball, and that's going to be Dalton Connect. I think that this guy is absolutely electric. I think for sure he can play at the next level. He had 37 points. He had 3 rebounds. He had an assist and a steal. But I think that the stats really don't give him justice, man. I think that throughout the tournament, just with what he has been able to do, the way he's been able to make difficult shots, the way he's been able to make timely passes and things like that, these are things that I kind of look for guys who could play at the next level. And certainly I think that Dalton Connect is a guy that you will certainly hear about in the next level. So I think that this was a terrific game, and I think that this is tough for Tennessee because they had a double-digit lead in this game, and then obviously Purdue was able to come back here and win this thing. So they have a very good chance in the Final Four, and in my opinion, I think they're headed to face Connecticut. And speaking of Connecticut, that was another game that took place here for the Elite Eight, and that was actually on Saturday's contest. So Connecticut just straight up handled Illinois. And the thing about Illinois in that particular contest is that Illinois was the number 1 offense in the country, I believe, or in the tournament, I think, at this point in time. So the fact that Connecticut was literally able to go on a 30-0 run in the second half is amazing. All right. And that's one of the things that when you were looking at the post-game show with Kenny Jet Smith and Charles Barkley and those guys, man, it was just like the fact that Connecticut was that good to not only were they able to carve Illinois up, but they were able to completely shut off the lights, man. And I mean, that was just a spectacular appearance from Connecticut. And I remember when Florida went back to back with Billy Donovan as the coach there at Florida, and Connecticut definitely has that. They have that it factor right now. It's starting with Alex Caravan, the 10, points and the 3 rebounds for him. You had Clegan, who had 22 points, the 5 blocks, the 3 steals, assists, and 10 rebounds as well. Like, these guys just strategically kind of carve you up, man. And I just don't see too many weaknesses to go with Connecticut, man. I think that Connecticut is a team that is going to be, reckoned with here. And it's just amazing to me to see that they really haven't missed a step, even though they lost some people, in last year's run. So, kudos to Connecticut for taking care of business, but I definitely think that for sure they will be heard from in the championship game. Another game that took place yesterday, Duke versus NC State. And so I think it's fair to say that NC State is for real. Look, they were 8-4 coming into their last couple contests, and I know it's a lot of noise that's being made here because they have essentially gone off on this winning streak, and they had lost 4 games prior to the ACC tournament, if I'm not mistaken. And so, look, the bottom line is this, man, like, NC State is for real. I love DJ Burns Jr. I love what Charles Barkley had to say. I think in comparison, this guy reminds you a lot of a Zach Randolph, and he actually does shoot left-handed too as well. 29 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, 0 steals, but the 2 blocks as well. I think that they have done a terrific job in the tournament as far as getting this guy going. And I think a lot of people were shocked the fact that this guy could score in so many variety of ways and get and ones too as well. DJ Horn, talented guard, has played well for NC State too. 20 points. He had 3 assists and 4 rebounds as well in this one. And I think that they just did a terrific job in kind of frustrating Duke. I mean, I think that when you look at some teams or you look at some players, that could play at the next level, I think that they did a terrific job in taking Filipowski away. He only had 11 points in this one. And then another guy that they took away too as well is Jared Kane. Like, even though McCain, had 32 points in this one, it was a rough shooting performance for Jared McCain. I think things had come so easily for him. And the fact that they were able to lock him up defensively, that's huge. And so I think that the one thing that I love about NC State is they have shown that they can take away your experience. Looking at what they were able to do to Clemson, around to go there in the Sweet 16, I think that that was one of the most experienced teams in the tournament. I think that they had like a lot of seniors and guys like that who would come back. So for NC State to dismantle teams that not only had the talent, but the experience, I definitely think that kind of bodes well for them moving forward. I think that they for sure will be a team to be heard from as well as they head into the Final Four, guys. And then on the other side of the bracket, Alabama and Clemson. So kudos to Alabama getting to their first Final Four in school history here. So look, 89-82, and they were actually the ones who dismantled Clemson. NC State had gotten Clemson in the ACC. But, this was, again, Alabama coming true and true. I think that the one thing that I was thinking about with Alabama is that they were a much deeper team this year than they were last year. And I know that they probably had like some good talent last year with Brandon Miller, who obviously was the number 2 pick in the draft, and you see what he's doing for the Charlotte Hornets. Very great player. But I think that, the way that Coach Oates had to go back and reconstruct this roster speaks wonders about Coach Oates. The fact that he's brought back Nick Pringle, he had 16 points, 11 rebounds here. But I love the contributions that he's gotten from Jaron Stevenson. He played extremely well. And then I have to really take my hats off to Mark Spears. I mean, here's a guy that completely revamped his game in the summer. I think he was saying he at least gets about 150 three-point makes in between each day. His three-point shooting has gone up astronomical, 23 points, he had 3 rebounds and 2 assists, but more importantly, big shots that he was able to really hit throughout this tournament is the one thing so far that I'm going to be taking away from them. But shout out to Alabama. Like I said, man, they're a much deeper team than what they were a season ago, guys. And so, moving into the Final Four, my predictions are, again, I think that Connecticut for sure is going to be the team to go ahead and actually advance. I think that there's just too many players at each position that Connecticut can kind of lean on to. I think that Connecticut to me is my favorite. And, as far as moving forward, man, the other team that I'm thinking that can possibly come out of here, I think that it's going to be, I think it's going to be, I think Purdue. I think Purdue is going to be able to advance into the Final Four. I think that Purdue has that look, certainly the same look that Virginia had after they had a tough loss in the NCAA tournament, and then they were able to come back and win it all. So I think that, they have done a terrific job in really sitting with that disappointment, really learning from that, and then it looks like they have addressed all the things that really kind of could be the hindrance for them. And I just think that with Zach Edey down there, he's such a mismatch problem. He either is going to get the bucket or he is going to draw the foul. And then when you double off or double onto him, I think that Purdue has done a terrific job in knocking down shots, and not just three-point shots, but they've done a terrific job in knocking down some mid-range shots as well. So they haven't been one-dimensional there. So, that is some of the things that I have actually observed here in the Elite Eight. Make sure that you press like and subscribe if you like content like this. Want to go ahead and thank the fans out there who have chimed in on a week-to-week basis to follow the show, guys, as we have some more exciting shows to bring to you guys. The NBA play-in situation is right around the corner with about 2 weeks to go, so I'm looking forward to talk about that, guys. And so I'm your host. This is Rico, Real Talk Sports, and we will be back for another show, guys. I'll see you guys on the next one. Peace.